So it's my pleasure and honor to introduce our keynote speaker today, Congressman Frank LoBiondo, who has represented New Jersey's 2nd Congressional District since 1994, which includes all of Atlantic, Cape May, Cumberland, and Salem counties. Salem counties, parts of Camden, Gloucester, Ocean, and Burlington counties, I'm sorry. He's very knowledgeable on the issues and challenges of his district, including the concerns of increases in flood insurance premiums. We are very pleased to have him with us today to kick off this seminar on the Biggert-Waters Act. Welcome, Congressman LoBiondo.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for the invitation to join you. Thanks to the Chamber for putting this forum together. Commissioner, thank you for being here, and Freeholder-Director Thornton for your leadership on this issue. It clearly is an issue of great concern to us, and not just in southern New Jersey, not just New Jersey, but basically every coastal area and district in the nation is affected by this. It has been sort of slow to coming for a lot of my colleagues to understand the impact, the negative impact that the legislation potentially has or is having. So what I wanted to do this morning was I have a lot of people still asking me, well, why was the bill ever passed to begin with? What caused it to be passed, and how did we get to this point? So we have to go back a number of years, and the National Flood Insurance Policy from 2008 had expired and lapsed 18 times. So that meant there was a gap in place, and actually there were extended 18 times, and there were actually 2 lapses. And during those lapses, you could not transfer any property, you could not settle on any properties. There are tens of thousands of homes, the settlements were delayed, and it presented a problem that everybody said, look, we have to do something about. Now, many people in Congress, the House and the Senate, do not like the federal flood insurance program at all. They feel if they're from Montana or Idaho or an interior state, and I will tell you, even some folks from our district say, why should we be subsidizing someone who lives at the shore? So we go through the argument about the economic benefit and the tourism dollars and the jobs created, but for those who don't see it firsthand, it was a problem. The program was doing nationally okay until several major storms, most notably Katrina. And after Katrina, the federal flood insurance program went into the red almost to the tune of $30 billion. And that was kind of the point at which everyone said, look, we've got to do something. The policies were being subsidized, some cases by a pretty good percentage. And this is one of the times when the stakeholders outside of Washington actually weighed in. So we had the realtors, we had community bankers, we had insurance folks, we had a wide variety of folks who were interested in seeing this fixed, who came together with, at the time, was the compromise legislation known as Biggert-Waters. It passed with over 400 votes in the House, and I forget what the large majority was in the Senate. And it looked like this was something that was going to be able to work. And again, not just from members of Congress, but from a broad coalition. A couple of things in the bill did not happen. The study that was supposed to take place for the cost-benefit analysis, that either was delayed, it still isn't done. The program was moving forward, but for us, we had our major storm that hit us. So not only were we facing with our coastal residents the flood insurance increases, but dealing with the aftermath of Sandy and all the uncertainty of the new flood zones and everything that was coming out of FEMA, and it has made an impossible situation. There were a group of us who started working on this probably more than a year ago. And I have to tell you, I was somewhat amazed because when I went to my colleagues that I thought would be most interested in this, some colleagues from Florida and colleagues from Louisiana, they basically said, I'm going back a little bit, well, I haven't heard from my constituents. I haven't heard from folks in my district, so we'll get around to it when we get around to it. Well, now we see what we're up against. So it's gotten their full attention, and this has been an enormous effort. It started with sort of long-range skirmishes, sort of artillery firing from miles away, and then it came into closer combat, so to speak, in how we were dealing with this. And I will tell you, the last couple of months have been nothing short of hand-to-hand combat of trying to figure out where we go. There was a group who advanced a bill. There wasn't a lot of publicity about this, and it was actually just about scheduled for a vote on the House floor when a number of us on the working team had to go to leadership and insist that it be pulled back. It only helped about 2 out of 10 people. There was no way I was going to come back home and say there was a flood insurance bill that was relief and it didn't help everybody. Senator Menendez did a fabulous job with the Senate version, along with some of his colleagues from Louisiana and a couple of the other states. And as you know, that the Senate bill is not a repeal of Biggert-Waters, because therein is sort of a real catch. If we had attempted to repeal it, some of the very powerful folks in Congress who want to see the program eliminated would have had their option to go in and kill the whole thing. So on a bipartisan basis, we've been moving forward, and I think we have the framework where as early as next week I will be able to make an announcement about the timing of a vote on the House floor. I want to say I'm very optimistic about it, that this is going to be very positive movement, but I'm also concerned because until the ink is dry, the ink isn't dry. And the last thing we want to do is to raise a level of expectation and have something else go wrong on us. But for the first time in just about a year, I think we're at the place where the working team of legislators on the House side has been able to piggyback by the work that's been done in the Senate to be able to come up with a version of the bill that I think most people are going to be able to say is a good step forward and would provide relief. Now, since it is not identical to the Senate bill, and this is not unusual, the usual order is that when the Senate passes the bill and the House passes a bill, it then goes to a conference committee. The conference committee will then work out the differences to send the bill to the president. I know some of you have picked up that there were negative vibrations from the president or the administration about signing the legislation. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that Senator Menendez and Senator Schumer and Senator Landrieu from Louisiana will take care of any concerns the president may have. And on the House side, one of the requirements to bring a bill to the floor is that the Congressional Budget Office scores it at either 0 or positive. So what that means is, because the program is 25 or $30 billion in the red, it would be impossible to bring a bill to the floor under the rules that would further increase the debt of the program. So the legislation that we're working on meets the requirements. In fact, it is a little bit of a positive score, and it gives us the opportunity to then work with the Senate as we move forward. But in the meantime, forums like this are critically important. I know there have been more questions than there have been answers for. I know there's still a lot of apprehension and questions about the FEMA flood maps and how we're working on them. And I think some of you will remember that when the preliminary maps came out, at least for part of the district, the velocity zones were a big problem. They were identified as velocity zones that just weren't velocity zones. Fortunately, the head of FEMA has agreed that he would work with communities, and so far it looks like they're doing that. So that's something else that, while it's not a part of this, it sort of fits into it. So again, I want to thank the panel that's here today. I want to thank Jerry Thornton. Jerry has been not bashful to not just grab my ear and bend it, but just about yank it off on many occasions about what this means to Cape May County and the need we have to get something that gives us some relief. So with that, I'm going to turn the microphone back. But thank you all very much. And again, I think in a short period of time, we're going to have some good news to announce, and it could be as early as next week. Thanks so much.